let's take a look at a couple of other parsing questions here. Why don't we go to number 1? We have hayu. Hayu. Both knowing the vocabulary words and paying attention to the form here, we can see that what we have is a hey as root 1 and yod as root 2. And with the kamets under root 1, this is looking like a cal perfect sort of verb form. What I'm missing is root 3, and that's because this is a 3-hey verb. In 3-hey verbs, when I have the vocalic endings in the perfect, the mater hey goes away, and I get the shurik here. So that is a third common plural ending of haya. Haya. Haya means to be. So hayu, I would want to translate that as they were. They were. Now, for number 2, let's take a look there. I have an ayin and a noon, and what looks like another noon here. I have to decide if that noon is part of my root structure. Is it one of the 3 root letters, or is maybe this the pronominal suffix ni that I've learned can be attached to verbs? Well, if I go with ayin noon as my 2 root letters, root 3 is missing, then it's very likely that what I'm dealing with here is the verb ana, which is one of our verbs in this chapter. Ana means to answer, in the cal stem anyway. And it's both weak at the front end, 1 guttural, and weak on the back end as a 3-hey verb. Now, if you look over here, what I have is a compound shava, which is normally a vocal shava, but due to the guttural characteristics, it has to have a compound shava. Where do I have situations where I get a compound shava under root 1? Well, one of those places is in the cal imperative. Notice that I don't have any prefixing here. So this is not a hifil or a hofal, which has a prefix hey. I don't have a nifal noon, so it can't be a nifal form. And I don't have any of the nutty prefixes. So this is a good candidate for being an imperative. And I know that ana occurs in the cal stem. So in the cal imperative, normally I have, as in pakad, vocal shava, and then the holum. That should be kov, code. Okay? But when I've got a 3-hey verb, I've got a problem. Bana, to build, in the cal imperative is b'nei. B'nei. Vocal shava, and then a sere. All right, here I've got the compound shava, and in the sere, when I add a pronominal suffix, the mater hey, really the sere and the mater hey are going to go away, and then what I get is the I-class helping vowel before the direct object pronominal suffix. So that's first common singular pronoun here. Okay, so what do I have? I have a cal imperative with no inflectional ending. That is to say, it's 2ms. It's a command to someone, answer, plus a pronominal suffix, 1cs suffix. Answer me. Answer me. Now, number 3 is yechi. Yechi. Here, I have a what looks like a prefix yod, and perhaps then what I've got is root 1, root 2 in the form of a Keurig yod, and root 3 is missing. Okay? So if that's the case, then this yod prefix is a 3ms prefix in the nutty prefixes. All right? So do I have a verb that has a chet followed by yod in my verbal forms for the chapter? And the answer is yes. I have a verb chaya. Chaya. Not chaya with a hey, but chaya with a chet, which means to live. To live. And what do I have with yechi? I have a situation where the three-hay verb has apocryphated the ending. Now, this is one of those forms where it's so unusual, you're going to have to learn that this is the way to parse it, and then you will be able to remember this. This is a Cal-Jussive 3MS, but apocryphated. Okay, so what happens here? In the Jussive and the WCI forms, the Vayikto forms, three-hay verbs, and chaya is a three-hay verb, when there's no inflectional ending, will apocryphate. They will lose the segol hay that normally would occur on the back end. You will see these forms in 37.3. So we'll just make a note of that. That's not 33. 37.3. You have the forms chaya and haya. And what I want you to notice is that for your Jussive 3MS forms, you have yehi and yechi. Yehi and yechi. The imperfect would have been yeh, but when we apocryphate, we end up getting a vocal shava under the yod and the kirik under the chet, and then the yod here. So yechi. So this is going to be translated as let him live. Let him live. Number 4, I have ehyeh. And here, thankfully, I actually see a lot of my letters, even though this is a doubly weak verb. So what do I have? Well, this looks like a form of haya, right? With an aleph prefix. So where do I see aleph prefixes with the segol here? Well, that's a standard Cal imperfect sort of prefix voweling, Cal imperfect, and if it's an aleph, it's 1 CS. And the verb is not chaya, but haya, with a hey. That means to be. So ehyeh is I will be. Or if it's got one of the other nuances, it could be I must be or may be. But either way, that is a Cal imperfect 1 CS. Number 6, I have vayor. Vayor. Here I have a vav pathak and a doubling dot in my yod. So clearly, I have something here that's a WCI form. I have a yod prefix and no ending, so that's got to be a WCI 3MS. So I've got a holem vav. That's a vowel. The yod is part of the nutty prefix system, so resh is the only consonant I have. So I'm missing 2 root letters. What do I have going on? Well, where do I see holem vavs with my prefixes? It happens when I have a 1 yod verb where it's originally a 1 vav verb, and I could be missing root 3 if it's a 3 hay verb. So this looks to be the verb yara. And we want to go back and look at our vocab list and see, do we have a verb yara? And the answer is yes, we do. What stem does it occur in? Well, it actually occurs in the hifil stem. And if you look at the hifil forms of 1 vav verbs, you will see yo as part of the prefixing before root 2. So that's root 2. Root 1 is missing, but the original 1 vav of this 1 yod verb is visible as the holem vav mater. And then root 3, the mater hay, it's really not a root letter because the hay's a mater, it's not a real hay. But it can apocryphate in WCI forms with 3 hay verbs. Okay? So it would have been va, yo, re. That's what I should have seen, yo, re. But when I have the WCI form, then I can apocryphate and see the segol hay go away. Okay? So that apocryphation happens in uninflected forms, and 3ms forms in our prefix conjugations are uninflected. Okay? So what does yara mean in the hifil? It means to teach, to teach. So this is and 3ms, he taught, and he taught. You can consult 37.5 in Ross for that. Okay, similar sort of form is in number 8, O'day. O'day. So notice that I have the aleph prefix here, Holam Vav, which is going to make me think that this is probably a hifil if it's a one yod verb that's originally one vav. I only have a dalet, and then I do have the segel hey. So this does look to be a 3 hey verb with a dalet hey, and the first root letter would be a yod that's originally a vav. So yada, yada. Now, do I have a verb yada from my chapter? The answer is yes. Yara is to teach. Yada is to thank or to give thanks. Okay? So what do I have here? I have a clearly an imperfect. Here, I'll go ahead and write it down over here. I have an imperfect 1CS. Notice it's not apocopated here. So this is this isn't a adjussive. It's not a WCI either. There's no vav in front of this. It's just a plain old imperfect. And in 3 hey verbs, the normal imperfects do have the mater hey. Okay? And now, how do I know it's hifil? It's because of the holam vav here. The prefix with the holam vav occurs in the hifil of verbs that are originally one vav. So this is a hifil imperfect 1CS, and I'm going to translate this as I will thank or I will give thanks. Now let's real quickly look at number 10 here. I have vayikar lo. Vayikar lo. This is a WCI form, vav pathak doubling dot in the yod. So I know that what I've got left are the root letters. This is either roots 1 and 2, or it's roots 2 and 3 and root 1 is missing. If I look at my vocab list, I learned that I have a verb, chara, and it means to be angry in the cal, okay? And if this is a WCI form and it's 3 hey, then what I have is apocompation. The segel hey here has gone away. It's been chopped off at the back, and that leaves me with just the first 2 root letters. And so this is to be angry or to be hot. And so what do I have here? This looks like a cow. See, I have the Keurig under the nutty prefix. That's characteristic of the cow stem. And then a WCI. And then there's a yod prefix with no ending. That's 3ms. Okay, but it is apocopated. And so I would translate this as something like it was hot to him, which is another way in Hebrew of saying he was angry. Okay? Now, if you look at the vocab list, it's going to give you the cal imperfect 3ms, not the WCI, and you'll see that it is written this way. Yeah. Re. Okay? Yechere. So that's the basic imperfect form with the 3ms prefix. So there's my three letters. Okay? If I need to apocopate this, I'm going to show you how it got to vayikar here. If I need to apocopate this, first thing is because this is uninflected, if I made it a WCI or adjussive, I apocopate uninflected forms, and that's going to go away. Okay? Now, that's going to leave me with these 2 syllables, but there's a problem here. This is a compound shava here, and a compound shava cannot be its own syllable, because remember, we're treating vocal shavas and compound shavas as not vowels. So what am I going to do? Well, one of 2 things happens here. Either this completely goes away, and so now I'm left with yechra, Yahra. Okay? And because that's a guttural, it's well, because I got a consonant cluster, I need to break it up with a helping vowel. And because it's a guttural, it would prefer an A class one. So that may be why I have the pathak here. Or the segol or the katef segol maybe resolved itself into a full segol, and I have yecher, but then due to the influence of the guttural, gutturals prefer A-class vowels, and so it may have then switched to a pathak for that reason. I don't know exactly which way it happened. The other thing that happens with forms that are apocryphated is usually the accent's going to go to the first syllable. So vayikar, and the segol here is an I-class vowel. It changes to the Keurig. Okay, so the apocryphated form ends up becoming yikar. All right, so it was hot to him. That's what 10 is saying, meaning he was angry. Number 12, I have natu. Natu, that looks like root 1, root 2, root 3 is missing. That seems easily enough to be a 3-hay verb. What's the form or the root? Nun, tate, hay, nata. Where do I get vocal shavas under root 1? I will see those in Cal imperative forms. When I have the shurik on the backside of an imperative, it's 2MP. 2MP. So I'm going to want to make sure I know what nata means in the Cal. It means to stretch out, to extend. So let's just go with stretch. It's a command to a masculine plural group, you all. So it would be translated as stretch or stretch out, as in, hey, stretch out your hand. Number 14, I have all ta'an. All ta'an. You know that because of that negative particle, all, whatever this is, it has to be a jussive, okay? And the tav, therefore, must be the prefix tav. And there's a no ending here, so it's going to be jussive, and a tav with no ending is either 3fs or 2ms, okay? Now, I've got 1 and 2, and root 3 is missing. When I have jussives with no inflectional ending, my 3-hay verbs will apocryphate, and that might account for the lack of a root 3. So I might want to suppose that this is the verb ayin nun hay, ana, a 3-hay verb. Do I have such a verb? And the answer is yes, I do. In the Cal, ana means to answer or to respond. Now, which stem am I looking at here? Well, the Cal imperfect of ana, not the jussive, but the Cal imperfect, is this. In the Cal, the ayin, as a guttural, being in root 1 position, prefers an A-class vowel. So I get ya-a-ne. Ya-a-ne. What's happened here? Well, when I apocryphate this, the segol hay gets chopped off, and the ya'an, remember that compound shava is not a full vowel, so it resolves itself by becoming a pathak. So I get vaya'an, and because I've got a prefix tav instead of a yod, it's vata'an. Vata'an. Okay? So that's what we've got here. This is just the Cal. It almost looks hifil-ish because of that A-class voweling, but remember, this A-class voweling is not due to the hifil stem, but due to the fact that even in the Cal, the root 1 guttural prefers A-class vowels. So how am I going to translate this? If it's 3fs, let her not respond or answer. If it's 2ms, it's something like, may you not respond, or just a simple prohibition. Don't respond. Don't respond. Number 15, I have vatahar. Vatahar. Again, vav pathak doubling dot in the nutty prefix. So my prefixing is the tav, and that leaves me with a he and a resh here. Throughout this chapter, we've been seeing three he verbs that in the jussive or the WCI will apocopape if the three he verb has no inflectional ending. And so the prefix tav with nothing behind it is like this one, the tav with nothing. So this is either 3fs or 2ms, but it's not a jussive because of the vav pathak doubling dot. That's a WCI. Okay. What's the stem? Well, I've got hara. If this is three he, it means to be pregnant or to conceive. This occurs in the cow, and it's going to be functioning the same way as ana did. I have these A-class vowels that will show up because the root one he is a guttural, and gutturals prefer A-class vowels, and the prefix will get an A-class vowel as well. So this is just a cow WCI. Now, in form, this could be 3fs or 2ms, but because we're dealing with biology, men do not get pregnant. They do not conceive. So 3fs is going to be the way to go. So this is going to be translated as a WCI past time. She gave birth, or excuse me, she got pregnant, or she conceived. All right, and then number 16. We have the preposition lamed here, and then hakot. Hakot. This is a really nasty verb because all I can see for real here is root 2. I cannot see root 1, and I cannot see root 3. All right, what do I have here? This is the verb na-ka, which means to hit or strike. Where is the root 1 noon? The root 1 noon is the doubling dot. The noon has assimilated. Where is the three he? Well, the he is missing here because in the infinitive construct of all three he verbs, I lose the mater and I get the ot ending. Okay? So what does the prefix he tell me? It tells me that this has got to be a hifil infinitive construct. Okay? The prefix he tells me that it's got to be hifil or hofal. The pathak tells me it's hifil. Okay, so this is a hifil infinitive construct of a three he verb where the noon has assimilated into the kaf and the he is missing, but the ot infinitive construct ending is there. Okay, so hifil infinitive construct. So you might translate this as in order to strike, or in order to hit. Okay?